Hey guys, today we have Raja Lakshmi Mohan, and she is having 4 years of experience in Java and Spring Boot. And those who all are interested to give same mock interview, please fill out the form below. So hey, hi Lakshmi,
Right.
how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, can you please introduce yourself and your recent project?
Yes. So I have completed my computer engineering in 2019, and post then I've been working since 2019 in companies like TCS, Scalage, and Zebra Technologies.
Hmm.
And yeah, so my basically the role was involving Java backend development. And since
Okay,
then I'm associated with Java, Spring MVC, and Spring Boot. And yeah, I'm just learning a bit more in these technologies.
okay, okay. So can you tell me about your recent project you have worked on?
Yeah, sure. So recent projects which I've worked on, like I've made end-to-end applications from getting data from client through JSP to saving data in backend in database tables through Hibernate. So that was
Okay,
one project, and yeah, like developing
okay.
application screen.
Hmm. Okay, so what type of application it was?
So basically, it was involving Spring MVC. So we handled the
Mhm.
code through Model View Controller. Yeah,
Okay,
like
so it was based on MVC.
yes.
Okay, okay. So, which database you have used? Hibernate
Yeah, Hibernate was the framework. Yeah.
framework. Okay, and okay. So, have you added transactional annotation anywhere?
No, it was the product was using like Spring, so we handled with the help of Hibernate objects like session objects we created and
Mhm.
criteria. Through criteria, we wrote these
Okay,
statements. Yeah.
okay. So, how you optimize queries while fetching data or saving data, anything? Uh, so, can you please tell me?
Optimize in the sense like we used to put indexing wherever required so that it will like reduce the load backend.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like fetching while fetching the results, it would be helpful for us. So we used indexing, and we also
Okay.
incorporated
So,
several
so
techniques. Yeah.
is this microservice based or a monolithic
No,
application?
it was monolithic architecture.
Okay. So it's for client or internal project?
No, it was for a client. We work
Project.
for government of
Client.
yeah,
Okay. 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 So can
and then we
you?
use
So
SOAP
I mean,
also
can.
for interacting with the third party. So we use SOAP like where we used to send the data in the form of XML. So we used to convert Java
Okay.
to XML through JAXB libraries, and we used to
Okay.
communicate with third party.
Mm-hmm. So what was the complex thing you have built in this project? Like the complex feature or changes?
Complex feature, as in I was given the responsibility for developing certain module screens. So that is like I built using JSP, Java, and Spring. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you must added packages, right, while creating, while
Yes.
working on this project, and inside packages, we have classes and all, right? So can
Yes.
you tell me the use case of packages, like why do we use them?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, packages, what we do is that suppose we have classes having same name, then we
Mm-hmm.
cannot put them like it would be redundant for the compiler to know. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens is that if we put the same name classes in different packages, then it will be very easy for the compiler to understand which class from which package has been called. So it actually solves the naming conventions, like naming versions, we can see that, and name collisions are actually removed from here. And also packages are providing a structure to the code that suppose similar type of
Mm-hmm.
behavior you want to incorporate in one package, so you can
Mm-hmm.
use a package for segregation of the code, like based on the hierarchy we can segregate the
Okay.
code, like yeah,
Okay.
we
So,
use
okay. So
packages.
what happen if two packages have the same class name?
If they have same class name, then we can access them with the help of like package dot class name, so the compiler will understand this class is from this package, like that. So we have to like import then provide that particular package dot then whatever class you want, or dot star, it will import entire package. Like that we can solve this issue.
Okay, okay. Okay, so
Yeah.
are you aware of the static keyword in Java?
Yes, yes. So static keyword is associated with the class, not with the instance of the class. Whenever any variable is declared as static, then that variable memory is allocated only once.
Okay,
And whatever changes happens, it happens only in the same particular memory. No different object is created.
okay.
Yeah, that is what static is.
Okay, so there might have static block, there might have static methods, right? So can a static block throw an exception?
Static block.
Yeah.
If static block is basically used for performing operations only on static members.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think so. It can throw exception if non-static data is incorporated.
Okay, okay, yeah, it can throw exception. So can you override static methods in Java? Can we override?
Mm, yes, we can override.
Okay. Are you sure? So I think we cannot
But
override
it's
static
it is
method.
not related to instance. So yeah, I was thinking like static is
Mm-hmm.
related to only class. So it has nothing to do with the instance of the class. We override only when we want to incorporate that method through object of the class. So I guess
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, so let's say we have a class with both static and
Hmm.
non-static methods.
Okay.
So can you explain the execution flow when the class is loaded? Like what happened first?
Okay, so when the class is loaded in memory, so all the static methods will be at the same time loaded, because static
Mm-hmm.
is along with the class only. And yeah, so first they will be invoked. So without creating object of the class, we can execute the
Mm-hmm.
static method. That is the beauty of that. And after that, so whatever operation is written inside the static method, that will be
Mm-hmm.
performed. And post then, whenever the object is created by the constructor of the class, at that time, the methods which are called by the object, those will get function, means like those will get invoked.
Okay. Okay. So, do you know about generics, Java generics?
Generic classes.
Yeah.
Not exactly, like I just am aware of the optional class. It is a generic class which uses like type of that inside, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the less than greater than brackets we use that, like those are like generic classes. Um,
Okay, okay. So, but you are not 100% sure like what this is and like how
yes,
you can. Okay. So, can we use generics with arrays?
generic with arrays. Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Not sure, right?
Mm.
Okay,
I've
okay.
not worked in
Hmm.
depth with generic, so that's why.
Okay, okay. So you, but you must, I mean, you have worked on exception handling, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
exception
So
handling.
what happens when an exception is thrown in a static initialization block?
Static initialization, like the static block. So basically, static block will like get executed before the main method. And if exception is thrown in that case, then yeah, like we have to handle that exception. Hmm.
Okay, so actually, when we throw an exception in a static block, so it's not caught within that block. It will cause a runtime error and the class loading will fail. So you will
Yeah.
see some
Mhm.
exception like exception in initialize error or something like that.
Okay, that type of exception. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So can we throw an exception from finally block? We have
Finally,
three things like try, catch, and finally. Can we throw an exception from finally block?
I don't think so, because finally is used to close a resource to the closing operations, and it is executed in spite, despite the exception occurs or not occurs. So if
Okay.
exit method is returned, then it will terminate. I don't think we can throw exception
Okay, so
from
you
fine.
are saying like, I mean, as per your you are saying like we cannot, I mean, exception cannot be thrown from the finally block, right?
Because it
Uh,
doesn't make any sense. I
okay.
think so.
Okay, but the correct answer is we can throw an exception from a finally block. Uh, okay.
Then we'll have to write code to handle that exception, like catch that exception
So
against.
the exception from the finally block will suppress the original exception, which
Okay.
can, yeah, which further can lead to like lost debugging information. And I mean, that is not a good practice. That will
Mm-hmm.
lead us some unnecessary problems. But yes, we can throw an exception from finally block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you know about custom exceptions and inbuilt exceptions?
Yeah, custom means like whenever we want to
Whenever we
create a
want to.
custom message. Yeah.
Okay. So which are
So
better, custom exceptions or like built-in exceptions? I mean, which would
built-in
you
exception
prefer?
prefer is we can prefer custom exception because we can let the client know in our own language, which the
Mhm.
client also understands easily. So I feel it's much good practice to incorporate custom exceptions.
Okay. Mm, okay. So can you name any inbuilt exception? Can you give a name?
Inbuilt like arithmetic exception is your array index out of
Mhm.
bound exception, then null pointer exception, class not found exception. Yeah, these are inbuilt.
Okay. Okay. So you also know about overloading, right? Method overloading.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So
method
can
overloading.
method overloading be determined at runtime? Can we determine the method overloading at runtime?
No, basically overloading means same method name with different
Mhm.
return type and different arguments. So this is a compile time polymorphism. Runtime
Okay.
is overriding, where
Okay.
the
Runtime is
subclass
over.
inherit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So we cannot determine this at compile time. Oh, sorry, runtime.
runtime. Yeah, it's a compile time polymorphism.
Okay. So how does Java resolve a call to an overloaded method?
Overloaded method with the help of the return type of that particular method and the type and number of arguments that we are passing inside the method. So that's how it will get to know that okay,
Mhm.
which method is called at run at compile time
Okay.
with
So
help of
have
return
you
type.
have you used final keyword in your project ever?
Final not in project basically, like maybe very few exceptions where we want to maintain the same data of that employee throughout. We have used final
So
keyword
can
like
you
for
tell me a
just
use case like a real world use case or real time use case of any real time application? Like what's
suppose
the? Yeah, go ahead.
IDs there, like employee IDs there, we are making employee management system. So we are saving the
Mhm.
data of employee. So the ID of employee will suppose once the ID is entered in the system, then it will remain unique and it will remain unchanged throughout the application, like throughout that employees inside the system. So we can make employee ID as final so that it will not be modified later, and that
Okay,
is how the
but
employee will be distinguished.
okay, but okay, so hmm, okay. So can we modify a final object reference?
Modify a reference of
Let's say we
object.
have created a final object. So can we change? I mean, we are not interested to change its values and all. We are interested to change its reference. So can we do that?
As
Hmm?
far as reference is concerned,
So you understood like what I'm trying to ask. Reference.
the reference variable of the object, not the object itself, but
Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yep.
okay. Reference variable we can change. Yes, I don't know. I'm not sure we can do that or not because if we declare anything as final, then
Mhm.
the value of that variable inside memory will remain same.
And
But
what about
reference variable
reference?
can point to that memory. Yeah, multiple reference can point to the same memory location having that value.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Okay, so we cannot change the reference of a final object once it has been assigned. Okay,
Okay.
so yeah. Okay, so but we can, I mean, still modify the object's internal state if it is
Mm.
mutable, but I mean, the end we cannot
Got
change.
references. Okay.
Okay, so what's the impact of declaring a method as final on inheritance? Do you know?
Yes. If we declare a method final, then this method cannot be overridden inside the child classes. So it stops the inheritance. Like it prevents the
Hmm.
overriding of methods.
Okay. Okay, nice. Okay, so moving to some different questions. Hmm. So, do you know about inner classes in Java?
I have read about it long back.
Read about it. Okay, okay, no problem. Okay, so you know about Java memory model?
Memory model related to something called threads concept, maybe. Not
Hmm.
sure.
Okay, and garbage collection?
Yeah, garbage collection, yes. So it's like automatically it will deallocate the memory for the objects which are no longer in reference, which are not no longer in use. It will deallocate that memory so that this memory can be utilized for those objects which are needed by us.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So how would you investigate and fix a memory leak in Java? What's the step you would take?
How to investigate memory leak?
Yeah.
Uh, if we call GC method, like system.gc method, it will automatically uh, freeze the
Okay.
memory
Okay.
leaks. Yeah.
No worries. Moving to some uh, next questions. So,
Mm.
do you know about design patterns?
Design patterns, yes, I'm aware of them. Yeah, like
Uh, okay. So, have you created a singleton before?
yeah, singleton, yes, like one class with one object itself.
Okay. So, how can we create? Can you tell me some steps?
Like singleton class, basically like simply the like if we create a class and then we just instantiate a class with single object. So yeah, it is a singleton pattern of design class.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah.
So now moving to some different sections. So can you tell me like uh, what are the advantages of using Spring Boot over traditional Spring application?
Yeah, so like Spring Boot, it auto configures many dependencies for us,
Mm-hmm.
where we don't have to sit and care about the versions and everything. So whatever
Okay.
dependency we mention in the pom.xml file, project object
Mm-hmm.
model file, it will give us in the meanwhile. And so the dependencies basically are configured automatically in Spring Boot. Unlike in
Mm-hmm.
Spring, we have to manually go and make the dependency like versions. We have to sit and configure everything. Then it
Okay.
also Spring Boot provides us with the servers, embedded servers like Tomcat and
Mm-hmm.
Jetty. And
Okay.
Spring, we have to configure explicitly the servers. Then
Mm-hmm.
um,
So what's the default server?
default server is Tomcat by Spring
Can
Boot.
we change it?
Yes, we can change it with the help of like we
Or
have to
how?
just mention in the form.xml, we have to mention starter dependency. You have to change it to starter hyphen under tau or starter hyphen jetty. Then that from that it will pick, okay, this server is operated. I have done that.
Okay. And what's
Yeah.
auto configuration?
Auto configurations, the if we require any particular object at runtime, so the
Mm-hmm.
Spring Boot, we have annotations to define which will make the Spring Boot aware that okay, these are the classes which we
Mm-hmm.
can make the object at runtime, and we can auto wire them at the runtime.
Okay. So how does Spring Boot decide what to configure automatically internally?
internally, like through the annotations, it understands, like suppose add rate configuration class is here. So whatever
Mm-hmm.
beans we declare inside the add rate configuration, it will prepare the bean, like it will prepare those instances at runtime, and also component
Okay.
scan is there, add rate component is there. So all those classes having these annotations, Spring Boot is aware that okay, I will prepare the object of these classes
Mm-hmm.
at runtime. So that is how it understands. And with the help
Okay.
of constructor dependency injection and setter dependency injection,
Mm-hmm.
it will inject that particular objects inside the classes. So we don't have to manually go and write that. So it's a
Okay.
very smart,
Yeah.
like through
So
annotations, smart.
basically, yeah. Okay. So we have class path, right?
Yeah,
So most of the time Spring Boot looks into that, and we have jars, so it decides after looking into that like what to configure and what
mm,
all, like, right?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So can you give an example of a situation where we would need to override the default auto configuration?
Example where we have to override.
Yeah.
Mm, suppose auto configurations. Suppose if we want to implement some new functionality or add something, modify according to our requirements, then we will try to override that. Or if you want to break some violation,
Mm-hmm.
suppose I can give an example, like if you're using singleton class and
Mm-hmm.
if you're cloning that particular object of singleton class, so this actually breaks the functionality of singleton classes, that
Okay.
where only one object can exist. So in order to prevent the breaking of singleton pattern through cloning of object,
Mm-hmm.
what we can do is that we can override the clone method in that class according to
Mm-hmm.
like whatever is the need, and that's how it will prevent from violating the certain rules of design patterns. So I guess we can override it according to whatever we want. So this is one example I've shared. So same
Okay.
way auto completion also we can override according to whatever we want.
Okay.
Mm. Yeah.
So can you tell me the steps to integrate the database in Spring Boot application, like from
Yeah. So
scratch?
first of all, yeah. So first of all, we will create a class inside
Mm-hmm.
the repository package, and we'll annotate it with the help of @, repository. So it will make aware the Spring Boot that okay, these are the data access object classes where
Mm-hmm.
repository is coming into the picture, and so that repository class will extend the JP repository, which internally calls @repository annotation and @transaction annotation. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't have to go and write transaction every time, because whenever the class extends JP repository, it will
Mm-hmm.
internally call the transaction and maintain the transaction state.
Okay.
So yeah, this is one thing. And second thing is that in the class, in another class, what we will do is that the entity package, in that entity package, we'll create the entity class. We will annotate with the help of entity, and table to denote that this is a table, giving it name, and column for the columns, and ID for primary key with
Mm-hmm.
generation, like auto generation. We can do that for random generation of primary key values.
Okay.
And yes, these are the steps we will take for JP set of configuration. And yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, how would you secure a Spring Boot application?
Secure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct.
uh I have heard, like, not incorporated in the project, but I've heard about
Mm-hmm.
the JWT, like JSON
Okay.
token.
Mm-hmm.
Is a feature to
So
secure,
you have
like your,
heard like these
yeah.
authorization, these tokens and all, but you haven't
Mm,
worked on this before, right?
no. No.
Okay, but when if you get some new project and you
Mm-hmm.
if you are asked to implement it from scratch, then how will you do? I mean, will you learn before, or like you already know how to implement this? Just curious to know.
Actually, I'm just gaining knowledge more on this part.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah, I'll make a project on my end first of all to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
entire hands-on knowledge, and
Yeah,
then go
because
ahead.
when you will switch or when you will go into the different project, so I think This is the first step. They'll ask like how would you secure and all the things. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah,
sure.
implement once and
Mm.
add in your GitHub. So that's fine. So whenever in your future, when you need
Yeah,
these type of things, so you can take reference.
that's,
Okay.
yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Okay. So can you tell me but you haven't implemented. I can understand, but do you know the I mean I theoretical knowledge like what is Spring Security?
Spring Security is basically for making security configurations so that only certain profiles, like through
Hmm.
authorization, only certain
Okay.
profiles can uh, be able to access certain modules. So that is
Hmm.
authorization where profiles come into the picture. And
Okay.
authentication side, I guess,
And so what are these authentication and authorization? What's the difference between these authentication and authorization?
yeah, basically authorization means like who can see what. That is
Mm.
authorization, which
Mm-hmm.
profile can see
Mm-hmm.
what. So admin will be able
Okay.
to see only that part, and as an employee will able to
Okay.
see only that. So that is authorization, and
Mm-hmm.
like everything is not visible to for everyone. That is authorization, and
Mm-hmm.
authentication means this next part of it, like authenticate a user based on the user ID password. Suppose we are putting so
Mm-hmm.
like if the password
Okay.
is correct, then we can authenticate like that, maybe.
Okay. Got it. So, do you know the method level security? Like, how can we secure any methods in a class?
Not aware about it.
So we have some
Security.
annotations like pre-authorized, post-authorized, secured, enable
Hmm.
global method security. So these are some annotations. So we can use these annotations in secure methods.
Annotation. Okay,
Okay.
okay. Mhm.
Okay. So moving to some different questions. 1 second. Okay. So what's the role of embedded server in Spring Boot application?
A role of which server?
Embedded server.
Embedded server. Okay, so
Mm.
embedded server, like it is a default server on which the
Mm.
Spring Boot application will run and host the application.
Okay.
So suppose we write in the Postman that particular
Mm.
URL, so
Okay. Okay.
that will be through that embedded server only. It will host the everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you deploy a Spring Boot application as a traditional WAR file to an external server?
Yes, we can with the help of certain commands are there for war to convert that into Word
Hmm.
file. Also,
Okay.
I guess if we want to make entire project in the form of Word, then through that
Hmm.
Spring starters.io, that website, we can select Word and then continue the project.
Okay. 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 So, how Spring Boot handles application configuration?
Application configuration.
Yeah.
Okay, with the help of @configuration classes, like annotations only basically, and
Hmm.
dependencies, and it will take properties from application property file, and
So, what's the
yeah,
order of precedence in the configuration? Do you know?
order of precedence. First of all, with the main method, if we locate a class having the main method,
No, no,
Spring Boot application
I'm asking for configurations, like what's the
configuration.
order of precedence? I mean, we have some different ways to add configurations, right? Like
Hmm.
environment variables, external configuration files, command line arguments. So
Yeah.
what's their precedence?
I guess first maybe inside the classes that would be given the first preference. Second would be from the resource files. Maybe third from the command arguments.
Okay. So first is command line arguments, then environment variables and external
Mhm.
configuration file.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
so in your current project, how these configuration files are structured? I'm asking like we have dev configuration file, non-production
Mhm.
environment configuration file, something like
Mhm.
that.
Okay. So, like basically, I'm not that much aware because I'm into the support
Mhm.
role currently, but
Okay.
through the back end, yeah, not that
So
much
okay, so
sure.
when you push your code, okay,
Mm.
so you must add some configuration files, application YAML or properties file, right?
Mm.
Is that dev environment or what? I mean, do you know about environments?
Yeah, like basically different environments for deploying in production, pre-prod, and lower level and high level environments.
Okay. So
So,
let's say if I give you some project, okay,
mm,
or I mean pre-built project. So, and if I ask you to optimize this project, so what steps would you take?
okay. Optimize in the sense, suppose if you want to minimize the code, so we can remove all those things where we don't want the unwanted methods written with the help
No, no,
of
no, no.
Lambda expressions or
Optimize means we can decrease the dealing while calling APIs while running applications
say,
like
fetching
with res
results.
yeah, yeah, fetching result with respect to time. I'm asking like how can we
Mm,
if make our application more and more efficient? I mean, what
mm,
steps we can use?
okay. Uh, Steps. Aware of that.
Okay, so let's say if somewhere we are searching any element in ON
Mm,
square, right? So we can reduce it to ON log n.
mm,
This
mm,
is
mm.
how this is the I mean first thing we can look up into the loops. Like
Loops, yeah, yeah. We can
if we
avoid,
can avoid multiple loops and we can
yeah.
let's say one method is calling two different methods, okay, and in the two different methods we have
Hmm.
same DB queries. So instead of
Yeah,
writing the DB queries in those two methods, we can implement in one parent method.
correct, correct.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and
call
we can
them.
use Stream API, right? So
Maybe
this is efficient. So we can use some
yeah,
algorithms,
yeah. Then we can use that Lambda
caching,
expression implementing function
caching
interface.
also. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Though now, mm, 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 mm. Do you know about Spring Boot Actuator?
Actuator, yes. Basically, this is one dependency we have to add in pom.xml file. What this does is that it will provide us the health of the application. It is like
Mm,
runtime production. It makes the application a production ready application by giving us the health metrics, like how much it is weak or strong based on the server's strength
okay.
and all.
Mm.
Yeah, strength of the application.
Okay, so can you name some endpoints provided by the Spring Boot Actuator?
Endpoints. Actuator.
Like we
I'm
have health, info, metrics.
Matrix,
Okay.
yeah, like I'm not that much clear, but
Can
health
we
is one of,
customize actuator
yeah,
endpoints?
yes, we can customize.
Okay. Okay. Uh,
Like
mm,
threads, how many threads are running at the same time, we can
mm,
get that.
okay. So, I mean, uh, do you test Spring Boot application as well, like by writing unit test cases in your project or not?
No, no, no,
No. Okay.
no.
But you can write, right? If someone give you to write.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, by running that.
So do you know about some annotations by before writing the JUnit test cases?
Uh, Not currently, I've not stepped into that,
Okay, okay,
but I'm
okay.
aware that we can write test cases for that using Mockito and all, the
Mm,
unit test cases.
okay. Mm, and do you know about the Spring Boot starters and how do they work?
Spring Boot starters, yes.
Yeah, please tell.
So starter dependencies like a starter web we have for the web applications like RESTful. It will help us in making RESTful web applications if we write
Mm-hmm.
starter web. Then there is starter JPA for JPA configurations in the entity
Mm-hmm.
side, like repository side. Then starter data JPA. Then starter data Hibernate for including Hibernate in our code, and
Okay.
web JPA and
Mm-hmm.
I have used these three till now.
Okay.
And also, yeah, I've changed the server from Tomcat to Undertow through, yeah, starter
Okay.
server.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's done from my side, uh,
Mhm.
Lakshmi. So it was nice, and
Yeah.
yeah, you have some great knowledge, but I
Mhm.
think in terms of practical knowledge, uh,
Mhm.
you can work on that area because you have 4 years
Yeah.
of experience, right? If
Yeah.
you will switch into some other company, so they'll ask you
Mhm.
like what you have worked, not like these
Yeah,
days, you
basically,
know. Mhm.
I have 2 years of experience into development and 2 years of experience into Java backend support. So
Okay.
basically, currently I'm not into not into the development side. So if I get
Hmm.
projects, I would definitely like leverage my skills in development
Okay.
as well.
And you can do one thing, like you can create some mini projects like on Spring Security, on testing, 2 3 stuffs which are important for development, and add those
Sure.
in your GitLab. So whenever in future, if someone give you tasks, so you can just
Mm.
take reference. Okay. And now
Correct.
talking about your Java skill, so it's also good. I'll give you
Mm.
9 out of 10. In
Mm-hmm.
very
Thank
last
you.
questions, you were lacking, but in most of the questions, you gave answers very